And now we're going to welcome Taewon Yoon, General Manager at SuperEvil MegaCorp. Hello. Can you-
Hi. Yes, I can hear you.
Beautiful. How are you today?
Doing great. Doing great.
Fantastic. Where are you based?
I'm in Cupertino, California. It is like very close to San Francisco, and it is also the known as a place where Apple has their headquarters.
All right. How's it over there? Sunny, I guess.
It's always sunny.
Uh,
It rains a little bit during the winter time, but right now it's very sunny and hot
all
every
right.
day.
So it's like not the worst place to stuck in for quarantine, I guess.
No, it is actually one of the best places, I think.
Good for you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us today. We are very excited to listen to your presentation. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Taewon Yoon. My title actually is a Chief Business Officer at SuperEvil MegaCorp. And I've been like talking quite a bit in different conferences about, what we do in terms of like mobile esports, and also the like how I believe that the future will turning into a like cloud gaming era sometime soon. But I have been like a little bit quiet about what we are actually working on over the course of last year and a half ish. And I'm glad that this is the first time I'll be talking about what we have been thinking and what kind of like philosophy we had while the development of our new title, Killers Black, which will actually be announced more detail in the next few weeks. So actually, I'm like the you guys who are listening to this is actually I'm having a sort of the first like sneak peek, the first time ever in the world. So like SuperEvil as a company, like our goal is building a best shared experience in gaming. What it means is that we are not interested in doing like single player games. We always want to do something that can connect people together, and also not in a like casual game, but as a like gamers game. And then we always believe that the mobile actually is a platform that can achieve that kind of the a game early on. Our team is based on the half of our team, like from the hardcore PC console AAA studios, myself included. I used to work at Blizzard, EA, and Wargaming, and so on. And half of our team from like high level mobile game companies. As an example, our CEO Christian, he is actually one of the like really well known developer in mobile space. He worked with the Playfish, Glue, Spocel, and so on and so forth. And then one of the like key interesting aspect of SuperEvil is that we are actually one of the few companies in the mobile space that actually build our own like game engine. And then we have been like evolving this game engine into cross platform and eventually in like cloud gaming engine as well. And then this having our own game engine actually allow us to become like technologically like more advanced than anyone else in mobile gaming. And as many of you know, that Vainglory was our first title, released with iPhone 6 in 2014. So it has been almost 7 years now. And after a while, it has a lot of like actually praise, and then got like a lot of award for its quality gameplay, and it actually has become quite popular. We also could do some of the like one of the first game that has done esports globally in mobile industry. So I will tell you a little about the what kind of like achievement we have done with Vainglory. Again, this is the first time we talk about the numbers around Vainglory too. So in its lifetime, Vainglory had a close to 45 to 50 million installs across Windows, iOS, Google, Android, and OS X, Mac OS X. And 4.7 average ratings, and then we had a like over 2 billion PvP matches among our player base, and one of our last World Championship esports, we had over 100,000 people watching Vainglory match at the same time. And then we also had one player from North Korea at some point. We don't know who he is, but like it was really interesting to see a player from North Korea as well. So yeah, like Vainglory was a great game, but after 7 years of operation of Vainglory, it is time for us to move on. And then looking back, what worked well with Vainglory and what didn't work with Vainglory. This is essentially a showing the lessons we learned by developing and operating Vainglory over the course of the last 7 years. And what worked well, the Vainglory's core gameplay was extremely well done. We are super proud of what we have done, and then it is also well received by all the players around the world. We learned that mobile esports can work, and then we at some point, like Vainglory was one of the biggest esports in mobile in the world. Having a technology gave us really interesting like competitive edge. And then Vainglory actually, we didn't do much of like UA, like we didn't do paid acquisition at all. So it was another like weird thing about us. So we are the close to 50 million like install base we had. It was purely achieved through organic community-based activities. Then, yeah, it all sounds great, but there are some stuff that we didn't do quite well, or like bluntly speaking, some stuff that we fucked up completely. So the biggest one is probably the like monetization model. We were initially so focused on building a great game design and everything. Essentially, we are thinking that, yeah, like if we build this great game, like people will come and pay. And well, that was probably the biggest lesson we learned, that yeah, like the mindset we had is still kind of like PC and console based, and then sometimes it doesn't quite work well. Essentially, we didn't have any sort of like monetization model in mind when you were working on Vainglory initially, and then trying to like patchwork, doing a patchwork effort to add in a like monetization model after game is largely done. It doesn't work at all. That was probably the biggest mistake we made. And then the like server operational cost of Vainglory was quite high. I cannot go into the detail, but it was like a little bit too much for especially when you don't have a right monetization model. In terms of gameplay wise, there are a couple area where Vainglory had quite a lot of friction, which is one is it is a great game, but it takes quite a while for players to learn how to play Vainglory well. When the entire world in mobile gaming going in the direction of like make it more accessible, we were essentially going on the other direction, where to make it, like you gotta learn, spend, like commit to play this game really well. So that was a like quite a disconnect between the what mobile gamers were expecting from us and then what we were delivering. So obviously, once someone get to play the game really well, they love the game, we actually have them like they stayed on as our player base like up until now, like after 7 years, there are people still playing Vainglory. But like for someone new, like getting used to how to play the game, being our long-term like community, is a actually pretty big endeavor, and that's the lesson that we learned and we shouldn't repeat again. And then long matchmaking time is another issue that we like realized that as Vainglory is like completely skill-based game, that we try to match really precise like skill level of like 3 or 5 different teams match skills to like the other team. That sometimes leading to a quite long waiting time, like sometimes even minute. And that was a really bad thing to happen in mobile game, like more than PC or console. And that was a lesson we learned. So like starting like few years ago, as we were getting ready to like build our next game, we put like a lot of thought on, so similar way we did when we were working on Vainglory. So essentially, we wanted to see that where the like industry is going in the next few years, and then what kind of like strategy we'd like to have in the building of Chaos Black. The reason why is that like just as Vainglory was a pioneer in mobile gaming in terms of like core game and also in terms of like esports, we wanted to do something that no one has done before again. And we always want to be the like cutting edge of like development in mobile gaming. So it was like important to kind of like try to look at the crystal ball was really important to us. So this is the essentially the our conclusion based on all the studies, researches, and whatnot. That so over the last 10 years, mobile game has been developing in a way that to make it easier to play, or like in one sentence, like mobile game developed in a way to reduce the friction for players. In the meanwhile, PC and console has been developing in a way that it improve fidelity, so that it can become much more like immersive and everything. So we think that the mobile game and PC and console game has been essentially going in quite a bit of a different direction. And then, as you all know, mobile game one, like frictionless, like reducing friction, turned out to be much more important than having a like great fidelity. And now we are starting to like notice, like take into account of the new trend of like cloud gaming and also the like cross-platform, cross-play. And then like to me and to SuperEvil, what it means is that the well, if the last 10 years has been two game industry going in separate ways, it is actually now it is time to like that those two like trend is actually merging into one, where like thanks to cloud gaming and cross platform, now it is possible to build a game with the like amazing high fidelity and a low friction, which was not something you could do over the last 10 years, but now it is possible to do. So that's where the our like strategy of, hey, we'll become a like cloud first game company. Our next game, by the way, will still be a mobile first, but like we want to make sure that the like our game, future games will all work well as a cross-platform game and whatnot, and also make sure that it maintains high fidelity of PC and console, but at the same time, like focus as much time and energy on reducing friction. So that is like another way to look at it is that the So the game that we would like to build is essentially it works with any kind of screens, starting with the small mobile screen to the 8-inch TV, or even in case of a stadium, like maybe 2,000-inch Megatrons. And I'd like to touch upon this like very lightly as well, but I also believe that the like esports is actually evolving into something else. And then the way it is evolving is one, like obviously everyone knows that it is evolving more and more similar to like real sports. But what is more important is actually esports also evolving into a TV in a way. So because right now, if you think about what people are doing in terms of esports, people are focusing on making it more like sports. But the thing is that like esports, if you define esports as watching a competitive gaming, and then sports is all about competitive, right? But if you think about the gaming itself, competitiveness, like competing with someone else, has been there all the time, starting from the like game. So esports is not helping to make the game more competitive. It is what makes it different is the fact that actually someone is watching, someone else is playing instead of him playing themselves. So that's where the like we wanted to focus on the what is the like watching experience. So that's where the like we believe that the direction is going. Like we need to focus more on like what kind of experience players will have by when they watch the stream or like gameplay, and in the end actually combining watching as a part of game experience. So this is actually, we are not like similar to like cloud. This is also the like trend that will be like evolve over the next several years. And then we are working on like seeding the basic like technology, and then what kind of game design we need to do to make it happen. And based on all of these predictions, forecasts, whatnot, like we came up with this like 4 pillars of game design that whatever we do, like this, all our games will have this. The first one is natively cross-platform. This actually means that the like we will be supporting like 3 different type of control scheme as a default in our game engine: touch, virtual joystick, physical gamepad, and mouse and keyboard. Essentially, those are essentially like are the current like platforms are using as an input scheme. And then we would wanted to like support all of that, not just as a part of the game design, but also a fundamental like game engine. And then our game design is built in a way to like natively like leverage that. The second one is that we wanted to create a like delightful loot economy, which actually is very natural to most of the mobile game developers, but this is actually something we learned like from the Vainglory experience. The third one is that the like we will focus a lot on what kind of like watching experience it will be, as I said in my last slide. And then the fourth, we will be featuring a drop-in and drop-out sessions as a part of the like matchmaking. Instead of the long matchmaking, like all our game will be designed in a way that you will be able to jump into the match right away. So you don't wait for like your match to be built. And then you can also like drop out anytime you want, meaning that like you don't have to like stay in one game for like hours. So it is up to you to play a game, like game we make for a few minutes or like just a few seconds, or spend hours to play, depending on where you are, depending on like how much time you can spend and so on. So all these stuff is boiled down into a game called, again, Keras Black. This is the game we have been building. And then I'll show you the video of that. Yes. So I'm trying to show a video um, over Zoom streaming is always a not a great experience, but I apologize for the like quality. But I wanted to show how the game looks like because it will be easier for you to understand what we did on this game. So the Chaos Black essentially is a cross-platform team-based battleground shooter. In mobile, we don't think there is any game that is exactly same as like Chaos Black. But the essentially like this is the way we came up and built is to like going into that like cloud feature. I will like touch upon the those like design principles what we did a little bit in the game. Like obviously I won't be able to tell you everything, but like some of the key stuff that we did and how we did it. So like I said, so one of the key element of the gameplay is that the like UI UX where the keyboard input naturally natively support mouse keyboard, touch based like interaction and gamepad control. And to enable it, essentially what we did was support of the like twin stick control as a like main gameplay control, and then made sure that the like one by one mapping will be available for mouse and keyboard. Plus, we added some like game design element to make sure that like mouse and keyboard pair is not too like does not have too much of the advantage over other control schemes. And the second one is this game is about like large scale drop in and drop out gameplay. This is built in two different ways to make sure that the like we can reduce the friction as much as possible. One is that in our previous game, Vainglory, the match was either 3 versus 3 or 5 versus 5. So what it means is that when that happens, like when you have a like 3 team members or 5 team members, your skill set and also your contribution to the match is actually very critical because you are either what you do is 30% of contribution to the match's result or like 25%, which is actually quite a lot. And then if you have one bad player in your team, then you will be in really bad situation. That is why we actually increased the scale of the game quite a bit. Like you can have usually 10, 15, 20 players in one team, so that your contribution to the match is actually reduced. At the same time, the burden of carrying is not as big as in other MOBAs. So this also allows us to like match players with different skill set or different actually loadout like equipment in a single match. Because again, like even if you have a like much better skill set or much better like equipment, like you cannot really carry a game alone. And then by having many players all at the same time, we could actually achieve the balance like rather easier than when we had with the mobile style gameplay. Second one is as you can drop in and drop out, you don't have to like you are not confined by like set time frame to wait and play. You can just like play, and then you can just like leave. And then the reward you get from the game is not like 100% based on like winning or losing or participating in game. It depends on like what kind of contribution you made in the match you're in. So if you play like 30 seconds, like you will get 30 second worth of the like reward. So it like playing a short amount of time, it will be much easier combined with like drop in and drop out. Like essentially you are not wasting any time when you play the game. like with Just Black, which was not the case with Vainglory. And then third is starting from the beginning, we built the monetization system as a part of the in mind as a part of the game design, and that is again why we decided to use like loadout based progression system instead of hero. We are using a like say everyone who plays the game is the same human with different skins, but there are like a lot of different kinds of the gears you can use, which will actually define your character or your class in game. And then as there are like a lot of different gear set, essentially how to like combine those gears and figure out like the synergies between those gears is a part of the main like progression system of the game. And also it work as a like play to win type of monetization system. So it's not going to we still want to like maintain the a little bit of a balance between the like how much time you spend and how your skill impact the balance of the game. But mainly using for people who would like to have a like exchange the gameplay time with the like progress. That is how we designed the monetization system. And then finally, like we call the like this watching experience like mechanics as a global LAN party. Essentially, we are trying to build a like watching and esports type of experience as a similar to how like physical LAN parties be done in the past, and then how we can how we can recreate that environment and feeling in the game is where we are trying to build the game and then like elevate that. So specifically for these LAN party features are something that we think that it will be we are not going to have them much of that initially, but we'll be like adding like over the course of the life cycle of the game itself, because like with the experience of Vainglory, we know that we really should not and cannot define like how players will use as a part of their life cycle and how they perceive the game. So they will come up with a way how they will be using it as a part of how they will be hanging out together. And then our plan is essentially we'll provide a basic stuff at first, and then we will observe how players are like using the game as their watching experience. We'll be adding features to cater to that need, and then eventually, I think that the like in the next few years it will be something completely different or something that has never existed in the past. So this one is like really exciting like features from our point of view, but at the same time, like we don't really know how this will evolve, what will look like in 3 or 4 years time. So this is actually all I prepared for today. Essentially, I talked about the lessons we learned from Vainglory, and then how we utilize that to design our new game, and then hopefully like it is like all high level stuff, and then I like in this kind of title conference it is not really possible to go into the detail of that, but at some point, once the game is really released, once you guys experience the game, I hope that there is a avenue that talks about the like details of all these. Thank you so much. This is all for today from me.
Thank you very much, Taewon. Thank you for your presentation. And I do hope, as you mentioned, that soon enough we'll meet again, online or offline, and you'll tell us more all about it.
Yeah, hopefully offline.
Pardon?
Hopefully I'm offline sooner.
Right, it's been way too long. Kind of want to get back into the, all the conferences, business trips, and just meet your friends. Oh, miss it. All right, I have a few questions for you, if you don't mind. The very
Okay,
first
sure.
one. Well, first of all, thank you for sharing the numbers on the Vainglory. You mentioned that one of the players was from North Korea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where does the majority of players come from?
So we had like 2/3 of our player base from Asia.
Mm-hmm.
And then the obviously like with many games, like China is the biggest country.
Okay.
And then like Korea, Japan. So it actually is. If you look at the like market share of worldwide mobile game, like essentially our player base was based on that, the same as that. It wasn't that too different.
Right. Thank you very much. And did we understand correctly that you mentioned that you did no UA for the game, or did I
Yes.
miss?
So we didn't do any kind of, well, we experimented a little bit, but we really didn't do like much of like paid marketing at all.
And wow, that's just unusual, I guess.
Mhm. It is, yes.
Would you recommend others to actually try it out, or what's your opinion on that now?
Well, so one of the so the key reason we didn't do UA initially was that the like we were approaching like everything in sort of like AAA PC console way, right? Like in so the UA is actually invented with the mobile game. In a way, some companies like some PC game developers did it, in the past as well. But it really is developed with the mobile. So initially we didn't do it. We didn't really know much about it, and also and we are also confident that this is like organic growth using community was the right way of doing it. But like looking back, if we knew better, I think that it is still important to do to like attempt and do a community based organic growth.
Mm-hmm.
But if you combine that with UA, it actually can be like much bigger for sure. So with Class Black, we're actually combining. We are doing both. Like we have been spending a lot of time actually to prepare for like maximizing our UA effort, and then combining that with our like sort of the like specialty, which is the organic growth based on community. We'll be doing together.
Okay. But have you done any collaborations with like streamers, like influencer marketing? Have you done any of that?
Yes. Well, like I said, we were sort of the like pioneers of esports, right? And then the like a lot. We work with a lot of different streamers, like influencers, and the like esports companies. In our lifetime of Vainglory for sure.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. No, it was fantastic to have you here in the studio with us today. Thank you for taking time. And yeah, I really do hope that soon enough we will meet offline at one of the shows, perhaps White Night, and you will tell us more about what you've achieved and maybe give some more examples and advices on how you would do things differently or maybe what went right. Okay. Thank you so much for joining. It was fantastic to have you here. Have a good day.
Thank you. Have a good day.